Hi, everyone. I'm Dakeem Lyles, and I'm back again with casting directors Say What? This month, we have a very special guest, but as always, each month we spotlight the amazing casting directors, big and small, in this entertainment industry, because a lot of what we do as casting directors is misunderstood. And I hope that this series can shine a light on all the wonderful, hardworking casting director people who really work tirelessly to bring others' dreams to reality. Now, today, I have someone very special with for you guys today, someone that I've worked with and have known for a very long time to be not only a great just person, period, but very supportive in this industry that can sometimes feel a little, I don't know, secluded, make you feel like you're working by yourself. But this gentleman is great. Introduce yourself, buddy.
Hi, I'm David Bellantoni. I'm so happy to be here with you, and thanks for the opportunity. Hopefully I can answer all your questions and help people out who are watching this.
Now, David, what type of things do you cast?
You and I met doing a lot of commercials, but I'm also a playwright and a screenwriter, so I do cast a lot of my own projects as well. But my bread and butter is the commercial world, and I know that's where we met. We're working on sessions together. I worked for many years for Melski. I do freelance a lot with a lot of other commercial casting companies as well in New York. I started casting in LA actually, and then I came to New York after about 10 years and started in New York at that time.
So now let me ask you, let's get into our rapid questions.
Yeah.
Why, David? Why casting? And well, actually not why casting yet. How did you get started?
Right. So, there's so many different ways. There's not like a degree you get, right? I mean, who's ever heard of that? Nobody. I came in through the back door. I actually used to work before I was in casting. I was in production. So I worked behind the scenes, and I was writing screenplays at the same time and making my money doing art department production work. And I started working as an assistant director, which is basically taking care of talent on set. And I realized that, I kind of like working with on-camera talent. And I got, production, crews can be a dangerous job. And I got injured on set. I had a grip drop. I had a grip drop a plank on my head up in the mountains in Big Bear Lake, which is 60 miles east of LA, which is getting buried by snow right now. So I literally had to, because I had a concussion, I had to leave the business for a while. And I did. Because I couldn't, anywhere I went, I was getting really dizzy and I just couldn't work on shoots anymore. And you know how this world works. It's like we're all freelance. You get on the list with people. And if you're not on the list, you start to drop off, right? So by the time I came back, I wasn't the top people's list anymore. And I was working on a script with a partner of mine. And he said, you know what, you want to get back in? I have a really good friend who runs a casting facility in North Hollywood called Chelsea. Why don't you go talk to him? And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So I went and talked to this person. He was great. And I started sort of running camera on sessions, doing that kind of stuff. And I remember telling him, I was like, listen, I'm already working with talent, as an AD on set. And he's like, you know what, your days here will not be anything close to what they were there. Because in other words, I'm not going to have any more 4 a.m. calls.
Yeah, God. And don't you love that? Yeah.
So I started working in LA. Doing that, and like we all do, like you make connections, you start working with people who want to work with you. And I started getting hired more and more on a freelance level, and then started working, up my way up in the casting ladder.
Wow, David, that is an amazing story. I can't believe that happened to you. Did the set support you in any way?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody, listen, I was out for the count. So I had to be, they got, I don't know. I can't even remember if an ambulance was brought, but there was an on-set medic. I was brought down the mountain. I was taken to a doctor. I was on work comp for like 8 months.
Oh, good. Well, at least you had, because they would have been terrible if they'd been like, oh, we're sorry. Good luck. All right, back to our movie.
Yeah, no, they did. They looked after me. I mean, some people said, oh my God, you should sue. I said, listen, the guy who, this is not, the person who did this, we were all tired. We were all working like 16-hour days. We're like 3 weeks in. I get it. It was an accident. It was nobody's fault. I don't want to start suing people and get that kind of.
That sounds like a hassle, suing somebody.
Yeah. And, so, I mean, it was scary because you go through this whole medical thing and you're not sure like when it's going to get normal again. With the brain, it's a whole different thing. And I was told it's like a black and blue mark. With some people it heals quickly, and other people it's like it takes a long time. So eventually I became better, and then I'm still a little bit I'm still a little bit tweaked. That's why you and I are friends.
Well, I think your brain works fine now. So
thank you.
So now my next question is, why casting? What do you love about this side of the industry that has kept you doing it, not steered you in another direction?
Right. Honestly, one of the things I loved about it, or I still love about it, is like we meet the entire world. Yeah. We literally meet the entire world. I don't care how old you, like, womb to tomb, I've heard said, right?
Yeah.
And everything in between, every culture, every language, every race, every size. And I love that, honestly. And you and I both, we love actors, and we start to get to know them, and we really get the sense of, you really get the sense of like oneness. The other thing that I love about it is being able to sculpt performance and being able to help people as they, from take 1 to take 3 or 4, you start to really see incredible improvement. And one of the last things I'm thinking about this question is when people come back to us, and they say, you know what you did, you got me booked, and I'm now able to like get my SAG insurance, or I now have enough to put a down payment on a house. I can now start my kids' college fund. It's like priceless.
Yeah, I mean, you can't buy that type of sort of not just feedback, but really that gratification of knowing that you did help somebody,
Yeah.
And I think your directing background probably helped you a lot in you sort of connecting so well to being a casting director, because we are directors in a sense once we get into that room and are working with talent,
Yes, we are. Yeah, so, and I know you and I both teach, and I think teaching and directing does go hand in hand. We are guiding people, we're challenging people, we're getting them towards a particular goal, even if it's just for that session, but also the goal to, to book the job and beyond. And yeah, I mean, I did feel that I really connected with that element of it, of really helping people and guiding them towards a really, more authentic performance.
Yeah.
So people like you and I are both native New Yorkers. Like we can see BS very quickly.
Oh yeah.
And so but we're not nasty about it. We get in, we find it. We'll sort of gently, or sometimes really challenge an actor in a positive way to get them to where they need to be. To be honest.
Yeah, and that's that's one of the funnest things about it. It's constantly creative and challenging our minds, so that every day we're on our toes and not just have a job that's by the numbers that we do every day and we know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, and then seeing it like immediate impact. Yeah, we go for, somebody comes in, does an original take, and maybe it's really good or maybe it needs work, but like 10 minutes later or even 5 minutes later, it's like, wow, look at all that change that just happened now in front of our eyes. Yeah, now we have it on camera.
Yeah, and that's so important. Now let's talk about, you were talking about just the industry now a little bit. What is your perspective on the current state of the casting industry, and what do you think actors should kind of understand about it now as opposed to back when it was 2019, 2018, because it's changed so much?
Yeah, oh my God, there's so much. I was talking with somebody who was used to work for an ad company, and I remember when I first started in LA, where we would have, even 2019, but we would be in a callback room with like 8 people.
Oh yeah.
And it used to be that like a lot of these 8 people would fly in from other cities, and they'd be staying at very fancy hotels and going out for like these really like, $100 a plate meals. And it's like, that budget is gone.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't, like, you're not going to have a callback with all those people in the room anymore, because technology and the pandemic changes so much now. It's like so the budgets followed that. I felt, the budgets followed that. They realized, oh man, we don't need to pay for all of that, because we can do a video conference, we can do Zoom, we can have people in London, in Los Angeles, we get the talent coming in New York. And now it's like, we don't have to spend all that money to have people there live anymore.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's really struck me, which really impacted our work, of course, but also is like the amount of celebrities in spots everywhere. Yeah. So it's like, wow, there's Sam Jackson, there's Jennifer Garner, there's George Clooney, there's Steph Curry. And athletes were always part of, I think, commercials way back, but A-list movie stars, no.
No,
That
I mean, that they were in there before they were A-list, and then they moved up, and then but now it's just like they're right in there now.
they're right in there. So that impacts us, of course, because they're part of the deal already going in, and they're spending a lot of money to get those people. But we're the people working with, like, the actors in the trenches who we say, yeah, I know that guy. They're all wonderful actors, but they haven't hit that huge level yet.
Right.
So I think that's a lot of this stuff is shrunk, or just shrunk the amount of work we do live with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really, so, since the pandemic, obviously, like what we're doing in Zoom, like, it's here to stay. Actors always ask me, I think it's here to stay. We have to be fluid. Callbacks are still live, a lot of them. But I mean, self-tapes, I think, our clients, the directors in the agency, realize that, you can, there's a lot more convenience to that kind of thing. But honestly, I know actors and myself, I'm sure you do, and a lot of directors, like, we miss being live with people and connecting on a human level. It's just not the same.
Yeah, you miss some things when you're not in the room with the person, and
come
up with ideas, seeing them perform live that you might not necessarily from their self-tape or virtual cast.
No, because what about blocking?
Right.
The whole, like, we're seeing.
That's what I said. I said, as casting directors, like, that was one of the downfalls, is that we lost control over how to shoot things, and now we have to rely on the actor to know how to do it and steer them in the right direction, whereas opposed we'd be like, okay, you stand there, I've got this blocking all out. Now that's like one element that we don't really worry about.
I know it takes a lot, and it puts, I think it puts a lot of pressure, extra pressure on the actor too. And we can get frustrated sometimes when somebody's like, okay, can you not be like right behind that window because you're in shadow right now? Or it's like you're not in a good Wi-Fi spot. Or it's like, I'm shooting you into like this. It's like, no, can you not have it like that anymore? Can you tilt the camera down, please, a little bit? It's like all this stuff that we had control over before. Now we don't.
Yeah. Now, I talked a little bit in my intro about how a lot of what we do is misunderstood, right? What's one misunderstanding about being a casting director that kind of drives you crazy?
Yeah. How could you write that script? It's like, the script came to us already. There's all these, errors in it. It's like, I know, okay, well, let's fix them. But it's like there's a lot of that. And it's also, that people think that sometimes we're the final arbiter of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, but it's like, yes, we are but once the callbacks come, it's like the agency and the director are we are an advisory person at that level, but it's like it's not like we make the final choice and we wrote the script, and it's like, why? Like, I don't understand. It's like, listen, I got the same script in my email that you did.
Yeah.
So, now, I know. Do you find that it's like
all the time that that we don't actually watch clips? We just collect them all and then send them. Like, we're not almost like an open call. Or sometimes I'm just like, no, we're looking at all these. We're hired to be selective for the client, not to just get everybody and send them so that they can all watch them.
Correct.
Like, no, just send me the best out of the people that you see.
Right. Yes, very much so. And it's also like, we're not doing, for stuff that you and I do, we're not doing cattle calls.
Right. Never.
There are very specific times for you to come in, whether you're coming in virtually or live. It's like, and those times matter. It's not just, hey, come on in with, no. It's like, because you're going to be late, you're going to be 30 minutes late but there's like 3 other people now who came in on time that I also need to see.
Right. Those dreaded afternoons where the morning is slow and then 1 hour, everybody just shows up at the same time.
Everybody shows up.
I'm like, I know I didn't give you all 1 o'clock appointment.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah. Well, Well, that's okay. The one thing that really grinds me, because like usually over the years, it's like our lunch has been from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Like, and you always have that one actor's like, oh, please, can I come in at like 1:15? Like, oh, right. Really? It always has to happen then, doesn't it?
Like, can I eat and get some energy for the afternoon, which is usually where you really need all your energy, for the afternoon.
Exactly. And then especially, and you know what, of course, because that's when the kids come.
Oh God. And as kids, with kids, we're we're acting with them, and that's just
Yeah.
as exhausting because we got to perform and show the
Yeah.
energy that we want them to have. So we have to elude that, and that is exhausting.
It is. That's where we really have to have our second wind and pump it up.
Yeah, so we
And
need
then
that.
and then if we're building families, that's the big challenge too, because of course, it's like, all right, mom, dad, 2 kids, but then we go out to the waiting room and there's like 5 dads and 1 mom and 1 kid. It's like, oh God.
Oh my God. How do I keep this organized, right?
Yeah.
So now, David, what do you think new actors should be doing now to sort of get started in this industry?
Yeah, so I think there's the standard stuff that I think no matter what time period is like, get your headshot and your resume in order.
Right.
Make
and
sure
learn how to act. Make sure you know how to act first too. That's
important. Of course. I mean, yes, and make sure that you're like all of that stuff. Yes, that you have your skills in level and you're being honest about them, and that you have your presentation. In other words, your headshot should be recent and it should not be black and white, and your resume should have like a standard. It's like, to me, it's like the first impression does matter, and so headshot and res still has to mean something. And that being said, so now, but with the pandemic and those kind of changes, now they need to have their self-tape business in order. They need to have their audio and video needs to be in line. They need to learn how to frame themselves and how to light themselves. And so a lot of that stuff, which was not important back in the day so much, there were self-tapes before then, but not at this level at all.
Yeah.
And so now so many actors really need to learn a little bit more about directing and being in slight editing, some slight editing tools also for their auditions, and then being familiar with uploading and that level of technology. I mean, that's the stuff that's really shifted.
Yeah. Yeah. So now let me talk to you a little bit about networking, right? Because I always find that really hard, and there's so many different aspects to it when you're approaching people. What advice would you have for actors when it comes to networking? Like this is a 3-part question. One is, do you like to be contacted by actors?
It depends. I mean, if I've met them in a class or in a situation, it helps. If I haven't been, if I don't have any connection, it certainly does help if you're coming in through a reference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You pay attention to it a little bit more.
Yeah. Like, Soraya Butler, right? So she just recommended somebody to me, and I love her. So it's like, okay, if the reference is somebody you really love and care about and is talented, but so I've definitely, reached out to this other person that made a difference. If that person comes with no reference at all, then, I'll, if I have time, maybe they'll look them up if they have any kind of, listen, let's face it, you and I have so many people trying to ask me for favors, or like on LinkedIn, I have like, I don't know, there are probably like 300 people that I haven't even responded to.
Right. Yeah.
So, and a lot of people are full of shit.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to sift through all of it, but it does help to have a reference. A, B, if again, you and I both teach. So if this is a student that we've had in a class or a situation, and I know them a little bit from their work, then yes, or particularly if there's something going on, if I could see a show, if I'm available. I've got kids, from my PACE class asking me to see shows, and I'm happy to do that if I can. And also, it depends also how they contact me. If somebody
that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, what gets your attention when people contact you that makes you not skip over it?
Well, it's like things that they're doing now. It shouldn't just be, hey, how are you on this actor? It's like, okay, I have this happening now. I have a co-star that's running right now. I've got a webisode. I've got a play I'm doing. I just landed this agent.
Yeah.
It's like it's very specific things that are happening to them now. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's a goal and a reason for reaching out, not just, hey, I'm an actor new from New York. I just took a bus from Wisconsin a week ago.
Right. Like I always tell everybody, once you decide to be an actor, you decide to run your own business, and you have to think businesses have to be advertised. They have to figure out ways to get people's attention that aren't necessarily looking for them. So all these type of things are important so that, like blind emails, I'm a Black actor, and then I just have my headshot in the email. I'm like, that's not getting anybody's attention. That's just going to spam.
Yeah, agreed. I say the same thing. It's like you when you decide to act, you become an entrepreneur. Yeah. And a lot of that is marketing, learning how to brand yourself, and learn just, yes, you're developing your skill, and that's one part of it. But then the other part is reaching out and connecting with industry.
Yeah.
And frankly, playing well in the sandbox with others, because it's like you got to be, you have to be professional and on time, so people have reputations too.
Exactly.
That can
Right.
follow that.
Like that's what I like. One of my pet peeves sometimes being a casting director is that people don't understand. So it feels like people don't understand that we actually have a job that we're doing. Like this is work, we have a schedule, we have things that we have to stay on track with, so keep that in mind when you're trying to reach out to us. And like you said, can you give me advice on what my takes sound like? And then you send me 12 of them. And you're like, really? You think I have time to sit here and listen to 12 takes where you read the script 50 times?
Oh my God. What about the people who reach out to us about picking headshots, and they send slates of like 700 shots?
Yeah, I'm just like,
no.
Yeah, those are the type of the things that get you ignored.
Yeah, and those are the type of things when you meet that person and they want more favors, it's like, listen, you needed to approach me in a different way the first time.
Exactly. Now, what realistic advice do you have for actors who decide to make this a career choice? Because, people get into this idea with, fantasy dreams of becoming famous and stuff and not really thinking about the business side of it. What's like some realistic advice you can give to people who are like, hey, I want to be an actor. What do you think? Okay, great. But just keep this in mind.
Yeah. So this is not a career for people who are like, by the time I'm 27, I want to be vice president.
Right.
So that's not for you. You need to cut off any sort of arbitrary thing of like, I need to be this by this time.
Right.
Because I just saw an interview with Bryan Cranston, and he was talking about the element of not only luck but also the sense of an arbitrary time frame. So it's like he made it really big when he was 40, and then in his 50s he really hit it.
Yeah.
Which is a nice element. Like things are really shifting in a good way in our industry, where older people are now getting, and they're not just tossed aside necessarily. But I think it's like you have to love the process.
Yeah.
Right. And I still do.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't lose that. B, it's like we don't retire. This isn't a civil service job. It's like, yeah, I'll do my 20 years and then I sit there, I'll take a cruise. No, it's like this is what we do until Marty Scorsese said, I'll die behind a camera, and he probably will.
Yeah.
So in other words, love the process. Don't have these arbitrary things. We're not really going to retire, and it's just like there can't be a complete just an obsession with an outcome.
Right.
At a certain time, it's not going to happen. It's like it will happen on its own time, not yours.
Exactly. Just look at Kathy Bates when she got Misery. I think she was in her late 40s when that finally happened.
Yeah. So that goes to being an artist of, I love the process. I love getting better, as in I will never be perfect. So whatever we're doing, acting, writing, directing, whatever we're doing, any sort of art field, it's like there's always a next step to get better, and you have to love that element and not be just, there's we all take the shots, right? And we all have disappointments. So, but being able to pick yourself off the canvas and move to the next step, whatever that's going to be, and believe that's like, what, I still love doing this regardless of the feedback I'm getting from the industry at this moment. Because no doesn't, right? The whole saying is no is not no. It's only no for now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm in the same, I'm sitting there because some people like cast, and I teach, but it's also, I have my projects. I have a project that I wrote, in the 90s. I have a project that I've been trying to develop off and on for longer than many people have been alive. and I still and people still come, and I got other things happening, but I still believe in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and maybe it'll never happen, but when I get, people coming in and like, I love this, and I've done a million rewrites. It's like, what, it's like, it's almost like having a kid. I'll still believe in that kid, the possibility of something might happen. And maybe it's like there's some luck involved, but the whole idea of luck is being like, be prepared for it when it comes.
Right. Be prepared for anything. Oh, that's the preparation. Now, that was great, David. Listen, I got a bonus question for you.
Sure,
and this is the new one. I really want to get your perspective on this, because I think this will help people who are auditioning and submitting. What do you say if given an option between 2 takes or 3 takes to submit, right? Where no one has told you, right? And there's like, maybe give us 2 or 3. What's your preferred limit of submission takes? Like if somebody, do you want people's best 2 or best 3? And think about this when you're listening, when you're in the casting process and you're getting all those different requests and emails from the clients and the agents. What's like your best limit? What do you like to listen to, 3 or 2?
I mean, I prefer 2.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do 3, man, that third one better be significantly different than the first 2. There's no, so if you are, if you have that kind of confidence and you believe that the third take is like so worth showing and so different from the other 2, by all means, go and do it. And I love actors who take risks and want to take that choice. To me, just so, because I know, directors and agency or people are usually on a time crunch. And if they usually can make the decision after seeing 1 take, if that person looks right and the vibe is right. And then, so to me, it's like on the first take, it's like, oh, I really like this person. Let's look at the second take to see if there's range. Yeah. Usually, in my view, that's enough for them.
Yeah.
In a call, and you know how it is. Like in first calls, it's usually 2 takes. Callbacks, if they really like somebody, and during the days when it was live and still is for callbacks, like some directors will really want to work somebody, like it takes 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's improvise. Let's try this. Let's try that. But I think if it's not a callback, I think 2 takes should be enough. And again, those 2 takes, they better not be the same. Yeah. I mean, the whole idea of a second take is to show range and to show your skill level, whether you're staying on the script or playing with it around a little bit in the second take. But I honestly think 2 is usually enough.
Great. I totally agree with you.
You agree with that?
Yeah. David, listen, this has really been awesome. You're an amazing guest. I love your insight. I hope you all have found all his information very helpful and insightful to help you guys move forward again. David, thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you or be in touch with you if you want that?
Email. What's that?
Your website or?
Yeah, you can go through my website. That's a good idea.
Okay, what's your website address?
So at davidbellantoni.com.
All right, people, you heard it there. And we'll be back next month with another casting director say what for some more insight for you guys. So see you next month. Thanks, David.
Thank you.